Electric Vehicles Transition and Green Mobility Bill 2025, SB 856. Distinguished senators recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 1st July 2025. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Term, Governor of Abia State and Chief Whip Emeritus to present his motion.
For this opportunity, my name is Akpoti-Uduaghan. I represent Abia North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to lead the debate on a bill for an act to provide for the transition to electric vehicles and green mobility in Nigeria and for related matters. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to create a comprehensive
Chief
legal
Whip, you have
and
not moved.
institutional
Move first.
framework that will guide Nigerians.
Chief Whip, Emeritus, sorry. Chief Emeritus, you've not moved the motion. Move the motion. There may not be a seconder, but you need to move the motion before you start. You move the motion.
Mr. President, I stand to move a motion to lead distinguished colleagues. I rise to lead the debate on a bill for an act to provide for transition to electric vehicles and green mobility in Nigeria and for related matters. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to create a comprehensive legal and institutional framework that will guide Nigerians' gradual transition from dependence on fossil fuel-powered vehicles to clean, energy efficient, and environmental-friendly electric vehicles, EVA, in line with global best practice and our national commitment under various international environmental agreements. Background and rationale. Nigeria today faces a twin challenge: environmental degradation and energy dependency. Our transport sector remains one of the largest contributors of carbon emissions, responsible for about 20 to 30% of total greenhouse gas output. With over 12 million registered vehicles in Nigeria, almost all powered by petrol or diesel, we are confronted with a pressing need to rethink on our mobility strategy. Distinguished colleagues, while advanced nations are making sufficient progress in electrifying their transport systems, with countries like Norway targeting full electric mobility by 2030, and even major African countries such as South Africa and Kenya adopting national EV policies, Nigeria risks being behind if do not act decisively. This bill therefore seeks to position Nigeria to benefit from the global shift towards green mobility and encouraging investment, innovation, and industrial growth in the electric vehicle sector. Objectives of this bill, Mr. President. The key objective of this electric vehicle transition and mobility bill are: 1, promote the gradual transition from fossil fuel-powered vehicles to electric and hybrid vehicles. Establish a national electric vehicle development and promotion council to coordinate, regulate, and drive policy implementation across all tiers of government. Encourage all manufacturers and assemble electrical vehicles, batteries, components through fiscal incentives and public-private partnerships. Develop charging infrastructure nationwide to support electric vehicle adoption. Phase in public transportation electrification and beginning with federal, state, and local government fleets, and gradually extend to commercial transport operators. Justification, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill is not just an environmental sustainability. It is about economic transformation and energy independence. Economic opportunities. The global electric vehicle industry is projected to exceed $1.5 trillion by 2030. Nigeria, with its population and mineral resources such as lithium, nickel, stand to benefit immensely from local EV manufacturing and battery production. job creation. The transition will open new frontiers in manufacturing of renewable energy, ICT integration, and technical education, creating thousands of jobs for Nigerian youth. Energy security. With unstable oil prices and growing subsidy burdens, Nigeria can reduce reliance on imported refined petroleum products by encouraging electric mobility powered by local generated electricity, particularly from renewable sources. Health and environmental benefits. Reduced emission means clear air, fewer respiratory illness, and improved quality of life of our citizens. In conclusion, Mr. President and dear colleagues, this bill is both visionary and timely. It aligns with the federal government drive towards industrial diversification, environmental sustainability, and innovation-led growth. By passing this bill, we will be taking a bold step towards modernizing our transport sector and positioning Nigeria as a leader in Africa's green mobility revolution. I therefore urge my colleagues and all and sundry to support this bill and to support this bill for the second reading and commit it to relevant committees for further investigation action. Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
KB Central. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion, so the bill sponsored by my very good friend and brother, Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan. Mr. President, let me commend him for sponsoring this bill. It is very timely and apt because globally, the world is moving towards electric vehicles, and Nigeria should not be left behind. As stated in the lead presentation, countries like Kenya and South Africa, they are taking the lead in Africa, and we should be not left behind. Mr. President, environmentally, this bill will help Nigeria. Cities like Kano and Lagos are suffering a lot from the emission, carbon emission. And if we adopt electric vehicles, it will significantly reduce carbon emission and our environment will become very, very healthy. And another advantage is that instead of exporting lithium, which is one of the main raw materials that is used for making electric vehicles, we will be utilizing it here. We will create jobs. It will lead to employment generation. It will lead also to industrial diversification, as stated in the lead paper. So this is a very good bill, and I urge all my colleagues to support it because of its enormous use to Nigeria. Thank you.
Mr. President, I want to commend my senior, Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, for bringing up this timely and very important bill. The impact of gas emission on climate change and global warming is something that we can't overemphasize. We all know how flooding has become a major issue in this country, and these are all coming out of the impact of climate change. Nigeria is a country of more than 250 million people. We are significant in the fight against climate change. Nigeria can equal more than 10 to 15 other countries in Africa in terms of the gas that we emit in our daily activities, either the generators or the vehicles we use. We have millions of vehicles in Nigeria. And if this bill is passed, Mr. President, I am going to assure you that the impact of climate change will be completely impacted over time. Nigeria, as a country with our population, plays a major role. So I'm supporting the bill wholeheartedly, and I encourage my colleagues to all lend their voices for this bill to be passed. I thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Zhang represents the dynamic people of Benue Northwest Senatorial District. Mr. President, I also rise to add my voice in support of this bill, ably moved by distinguished Senator Uzo Kalu. And in doing so, I am struck by this line on his motion. Nigeria today faces a twin challenge of environmental degradation and energy dependency. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Nigerians are never quick in adapting to new innovations. For some of us that have the privilege of driving vehicles over a long period of time, when the automatic gear system was introduced, Nigerians were very hesitant. They were used to the floor gear system. And many countries moved fast. We only came in afterwards, after it became eminent and clear that the automatic gear system was more durable, faster. Today, many countries have adopted the energy-propelled vehicles. We are still lagging behind. When we pride ourselves as a giant of Africa, and it's not reflected in our own advancement in technology and other areas, it means we are not doing enough. So this is a very, very crucial bill, and it speaks to the lot of challenges that our petrol-propelled vehicles create even to our health system. So I support in totality that this bill be passed and to move to the third stage, and then we pass it into law for the benefit of Nigerians and other sectors of the economy. Thank you very much, Mr. Senate President.
Thank you. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish a comprehensive framework for the transition to electric vehicles in Nigeria, promote local manufacturing, ensure environmental sustainability, and drive economic growth, and for related matters 2025. Second reading taken. This bill is now committed to the Committee on Industries to report back to the Senate in 4 weeks. Let me thank distinguished Senator Ojuso Kalu for thinking ahead. And of course, in addition to the transition from fossil fuel, he's also looking at creating a lot of employment opportunities and also encouraging vehicle manufacturing for those who are already in. Like, I don't know whether Innocent Motors, the boys are looking at me, and others are already looking at electric vehicles and all. So this is a very good innovation. We look forward to its implementation, and then we look forward to the committee returning this to us in due time. Thank you for all your contributions. Distinguished colleagues, maybe after 1 hour, we will have a closed session for very important discussions. And good or bad, the discussion must be heard. And it's important that all members avail themselves of the information. Leader of the Senate.
Second order of the day is second reading of the National Center for Information and Communication Technology 3. The single senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber.
representing the good people of Enugu East. I rise to move the motions on a bill for an act to establish the National Center for Information and Communication Technology. I so move. I lead a debate on a bill for an act to establish the National Center for Information Communication Technology in Kano, Enugu State, and for related matters, 2025. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to lead the debate on a bill for an act to establish the National Center for Information Communication Technology in Kano, Enugu State. The bill read the first time in the Hello Chamber on Wednesday, 20th November 2024. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, information and communication technology has become the backbone of modern economic and key driver of national development, innovation, and global competitiveness. From governance to education, from health to commerce, ICT has revolutionized the way societies function and many nations compete in the digital age. With Nigeria, with its vast population and youthful demography, stand at its threshold of an unprecedented opportunity to harness the digital economy for sustainable growth. Yet, the full potential of ICT remains underutilized due to inadequate infrastructure, limited access to training, and uneven distribution of capacity development centers across the country. The National Center for Information and Communication Technology in Kano seeks to fill this critical gap by serving as a hub for ICT education, innovation, research, and digital entrepreneurship, particularly for youth and professionals in the Southeast and across Nigeria. The principal objectives of this bill are to establish a world-class ICT training, research, and development institution in Nkanu, Enugu State, to build a capacity of Nigerian youth and professionals in software development, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, data analysis, robotics, and other emerging technology. To foster digital innovation, entrepreneurship, and startup incubation to promote job creation and economic diversification. To support digital literacy and inclusion across communities, especially among women, persons with disability, and rural population. To collaborate with public and private institutions, both local and internationally, to advance Nigeria's digital transformation agenda. And finally, to serve as a national resource center for ICT policy research, e-governance, and digital infrastructure development. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill is not merely about establishing another institution. It is about strategically investing in Nigeria's digital future through bridging the digital divide. The center, when established, will address regional imbalance in access to ICT facilities and training, bringing opportunity to undeserved areas in the Southeast and beyond. It will also provide job opportunity for over 60% of Nigerian population under the age of 30, providing technical and entrepreneurship skills that prepare our youth for global competitiveness. The global IC sector contributes 50% of GDP in developed economies, while that of Nigeria is currently below 10. This can be significantly improved through the establishment of targeted investments like this center, which also align with Nigerians' National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy 2020 to 2030 and Vision 2050. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, Nkanu in Enugu State provides a strategic location for this institution. Enugu has been a long center of education, innovation, and intellectual growth in the Southeast. The availability of academic institutions, skilled manpower, and peaceful environment makes Enugu ideal for hosting a national ICT hub that will serve not only the region, but the entire nation. The establishment of National Center for Information, Communication and Technology will mark a major step in Nigeria's march towards a knowledge-based economy. It will nurture digital talent, promote innovations, and strengthen our capacity to compete in the global technology ecosystem. In line with Order 76.3 of the Senate Standing Order 2023, as amended, a compendium of financial implication of the establishment of this college is hereby attached. I therefore urge my distinguished colleagues to support this bill for second reading and commit it to appropriate committee for further legislative action. Mr. President, I so move.
My name is Adams Aliu Eric Oshomole, representing the very creative and industrious people of Edo State. Edo North, in Edo State. Mr. President, I rise to support that this bill should pass second reading. All the arguments have been very well articulated by the sponsor of the bill. The point needs to be made that regardless of location of any institution, as the headline rightly captured, it will be a national center that will make it possible for every Nigerian, regardless of place of birth or location, to take advantage of this facility. In that way, we help to build unity among our young people. We can't overemphasize the fact that the world has gone digital. And right now, nation states are investing more and more in artificial intelligence and other sophisticated ICT-driven information system. Even for the optics alone, I believe it is right to create this institution and even to locate it where it is proposed. Because the challenge of halting urban-rural movement oblige us to think beyond capital cities and locate institutions even in rural areas. That is the way to ensure even development and encourage the young ones to understand the lives of people who live in those localities. That way, beyond the party knowledge, we are also promoting integration in the minds of very, very many young Nigerians. I think we can go on and on and on. I just conclude by saying, Mr. President, there can be no doubt whatsoever in my mind that this will be the national interest.
It will remind our young one we are shifting focus for people doing mass comm in the old-fashioned way, political science and so on. Apologies to Zam and Co. I think the world is going digital. And this is in line with the direction. It's not about the brain, not the brawn. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the privilege to speak on this.
Distinguished Senator
Ticket Blanc, I represent Plateau Central. I rise scientifically, morally, and physically to support this bill for the establishment of a National Center for Information and Communication Technology, and desires that if by the grace of God the bill succeeds and is established for the Southeast, I feel that this desire should have even extended to all the geopolitical zones of this country. I am supporting this bill in its totality because ICT facilitates communication. It gives access to information. It enables remote network and learning, and it simplifies automation. Now, at this digital period that we are, and particularly with the new thinking of this government that has a lot to think of how our economy can be driven digitally, the need for an ICT centers in our entire country cannot be compromised. I remember, sir, we went for a naval committee on oversight in one part of Uyo, and there was no network. There was no MTN. And it becomes very difficult for me to communicate. I need to sit closer to somebody for hotspot connection. Our system, Nigeria, the network of our country needs to be sustained and needs to be trusted. So even entering this building, it will be very unfair that you are in a very complex building like this and there's no Wi-Fi for you, Wi-Fi for you to use. I think that this bill will further conscientize us on it to ensure that connectivity in our entire country is done. And for the importance of ICT and where we are now, I believe that this bill is very timely and is a needed bill, and that all of us will support this bill and even think beyond having it in Northeast, that it should be done in all the geopolitical zone. I thank you for the opportunity to contribute, and I believe that we'll support this bill for the betterment of our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished Senator.
Goal of unemployment of our youths. The population of our youths is gradually increasing, and if we must empower the youths and reduce crime in our society, we must look at a way that can give youths opportunity to be entrepreneurs by themselves instead of depending on government to give them jobs. ICT is one path that we can reach that milestone in a very quick way. I am supporting this bill in its entirety, especially because of the impact this is going to give to the youths. We have very industrious, intelligent, and hardworking youths in Nigeria. However, opportunities are limited for them to express themselves. I know that if this ICT center is established, it is going to give them opportunity to have facilities that they can utilize to be able to develop themselves to be important to the society. I'm also supporting this bill. I'm from Enugu State, and this is going to be in Enugu. However, even though it is not in my zone, but the location is very wonderful. It is in an area that is very close to the city and also located in a way that people from other zones can also access it. So I support the bill, and I encourage every other person to do so for it to pass the second time. I thank you, Mr. President.
Is there anybody who is opposed to this bill going for second reading? Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President,
An act to establish the National Center for Information and Communication Technology in Kano West, Enugu State, and for other related matters, 2025. Second reading taken. This bill is now committed to the Committee on ICT and Cyber Security to report back to the Senate within 4 weeks. Thank you, distinguished Senator Kelvin Chukwu, for the thoughtfulness and the initiative to bring this bill, which I believe will be life-changing, not just for the entire country, but particularly for the youth of the nation, creating employment opportunities and making ICT available to all and sundry. I thank my colleagues for their contributions. I look forward to further legislative deliberations on this bill. I thank you. Leader of the Senate.
I will present a single lead debate on the bills.
Yes, proceed.
I can continue. Mr. President,
Yes, okay.
I stand to present a lead debate for the concurrence from the House of Representatives, sponsored by the Senate leader, Senator Bamidele Michael Opeyemi. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on these important bills from the House of Representatives for concurrence of the Senate. Number 1, National Film and Video Regulatory Commission, Establishment Bill 2025, HB 514. This bill seeks to repeal the National Film and Video Censors Board Act, CAB N40, Laws of Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and to enact the National Film and Video Regulatory Commission Act 2025 for classification, sales, rentals, distribution, online distribution, and exhibition of films, video works, short dramatized contents, musical videos, and video games in Nigeria. Number 2, Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria, Establishment Bill 2025, HB 140. This bill establishes the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria, charged among other things with responsibility of regulating the practice among the members, including qualification, training skill set of digital forensics, and determining the standard of knowledge and skill required for persons seek to become members of the Institute. Number 3, Federal Medical Center Act Amendment Bill 2025, HB 1747. This bill seeks to amend the Federal Medical Center Act 2022 to provide for establishment of additional federal medical centers across the country. 4, Sexual Harassment of Students, Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2025, HB 1598. This bill seeks to promote and protect ethical standards in tertiary education, the sanctity of student-educator fiduciary relationship of authority, dependence, trust, and respect for human dignity in tertiary educational institutions. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, this bill is straightforward and have gone through necessary legislative process in House of Representatives. I therefore urge you all to support the second reading of this bill as we refer them to Committee of Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. Thank you, Mr. President. I so submit.
Also moved by the Senate.
Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The leader, do you want to put more meat on the various bills? Let members discuss one after the other.
Mr. are very straightforward, and they have been adequately dealt with. National Film and Video Regulatory Commissions. The idea is to bring the bill of 2024 that is almost obsolete into focus and along the dictates of the new time. And like we rightly said, there are some of these new things that we should put into consideration, like short dramatized contents, musical videos that are so germane now, and video games that are almost everywhere in Nigeria. So the idea of this bill is to bring them forth and so that it is relevant to present day need. On Charter Institute of Digital Forensic of Nigeria, I think this thing has been dealt with. And we know the importance of forensic science in today's security system. Federal Medical Center is the need of every community. And the additional one, I think, for the sake of health of our population, we should quickly contain it. Sexual harassment of students in tertiary institutions has become so problematic to the extent that the standard of education are being affected. And I think all things I've said are addressed by the 4 bills. I so submit, Mr. President.
Places. So I suggest, with your permission, Mr. President, that we amend this to include sexual harassment not only in schools, in workplaces, and any other location. Because the evil is the same. And the logic of those who harass is the same. I don't think we will come back another day to make another law on sexual harassment in workplaces, another law in sexual harassment in stadium, in sports, and other things. So I think we should just craft the law in a way that we have a universal application. I think it's very important to protect our young, and not only young people, even elderly women have been sexually harassed. And men. And like we spoke last week, in these days of gay movement and all obscene kind of sexual practices that is gaining ground in some part of the world, what used to be restricted to men, to women, is now applicable to men. So even men now sexually harass other men. So our law should reflect the reality of where we are in. So I suggest that we add workplaces, in fact, any other place. Sexual harassment is sexual harassment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. National Film and Video Classification, 23. Item B, a representative of each of the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, excluding the zone represented by chairman, who shall be a university lecturer in any federal government university in that geopolitical zone. I think this is too restrictive. it should not be restricted to university lecturer. It should be anybody with capacity within the senatorial, within the geopolitical zone, so that we don't tie the hands of the executive to one particular profession. So I suggest that we expand that proviso to read that any person who is qualified and who has interest in the film industry from within the senatorial, from the geopolitical zone, should be considered for appointment rather than limiting it to university lecturers. Thank you.
My dear colleagues, I am Senator Professor Anthony Ane. I represent Ebonyi South. I want to echo and possibly amplify what Senator Adams Oshomole said about sexual harassment. Before now, people think that this issue of sexual harassment is only domiciled in tertiary institutions. It is everywhere. I say it again, it is everywhere. So we have to come up with a law that's very encompassing, that takes care of sexual harassment in its entirety. This narrow approach or perception that it is only in tertiary institutions is a misnomer. It is only when you find yourself in the environment of tertiary institutions before you know that it is not as people think. And this sexual harassment goes both ways. Man harassing a woman harassing a man, in that order. So, my own proposition is that the law should be made in such a way that this sexual harassment covers all aspects of our engagement as human beings.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Professor. There are bills that have been brought for concurrence, but that has been done. So, those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria to regulate the practice, including qualification, training, skill set of digital forensics among its members, and to determine the standard of knowledge and skill to be attained by persons skilling to become registered members of the profession and for related matters 2025 HEB 14, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend Federal Medical Centers Act 2022 and for related matters 2025 HEB 1747, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to prevent, prohibition, and address sexual harassment of students in tertiary educational institutions and for related matters 2025 HB 1598, second reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the National Film and Video Censors Board Act, CAP N40, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and enacted National Film and Video Regulatory Commission, 2025, for classification of films, video works, short dramatized content, musical video, video games, and for the regulation of their sales, rentals, distribution, online distribution, exhibition, and for related matters, 2025, HB 514, second reading taken. B, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria to regulate the practice, including qualification, training, skill set of digital forensics among its members, and to determine the standards of knowledge and skills to be attained by persons seeking to become registered members of the profession, and for related matters 2025 HB 140, second reading taken. C, a bill for an act to prevent, prohibit, and redress sexual harassment of students in tertiary educational institutions and for related matters 2025 HB 1598, second reading taken. D, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Centers Act 2022 and for related matters 2025 HB 1747, second reading taken. The Leader of the Senate. Those in favor of the motion moved by the Leader for, okay. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. I want to alert you, so we are there now. Sexual harassment of students, Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2025 HB 1598. I now start with clause 1, 2, clause 2. So, Adam Moshomole.
Or provide for protection of students against sexual harassment by educators in tertiary educational institutions. I have a couple of problems with this. First, is that we are assuming that there is no such harassment.
Senator Adam Oshomole, what you need to do, just go straight to your amendment, and then somebody will second, and then we'll go.
Okay.
Just count your amendment, read it, and then somebody will now second, and then we'll move ahead.
This bill is enacted to promote and protect ethical standards in educational institutions. We remove the word tertiary. And the reason being that there are cases of children or students in secondary schools or even primary schools who might have been.
So now you have you needed to have stopped where you said in educational institution, right? Instead of tertiary.
Yeah, educational institutions instead of tertiary.
Okay, now that is your amendment.
No, there are additional amendments.
Okay, why not just couch it and then you read, and then somebody will second, and then we'll move.
No, sir. If you allow me to finish, sir, I have a very powerful writer here. He can write it.
You know,
because we are supposed to persuade each other about the merit of the amendment.
You know, I'm telling you how it is done. Just take note, so that by next time you can just do it. You just couch what you want, and then just read it and move a motion, and then somebody will second it, and we move ahead. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay. So I'll give you 1 minute. Couch it.
I'm left-handed, sir. 1 minute.
Okay, 2 minutes.
We've done it, sir.
I like it.
This is a bill enact to promote and protect ethical standards and the sanity of persons in relationships, authority, dependence, and trust, and respect for human dignity in Nigeria.
Okay, now you've heard about this.
Once again, I'm Senator Professor Anthony Ani. I represent Ebonyi South. I rise to second the motion as ably moved, the amendment as ably recommended by Senator Adams Oshimole. I say second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye.
To be replaced with the word person.
if I'm not mistaken, Senator Anton Shomole,
Sir?
you see, you don't want tertiary institution to be mentioned. You want, like, educational institution to be mentioned, right?
I just feel that it should not be restricted to educational institutions.
Okay.
Because
now,
even
now
last
your motion,
year, sir, just for your information, sir, last year, even in the Federal Civil Service, a PAMSEC reported that she was being harassed by a minister.
Thank you very much. You know what I'm trying to say
is why harassment should not be limited or confined to...
Yes, sir. You know, when you have this... Anyway, now, okay, what you are trying to... Okay, now, your motion, you'll have said mutatis mutandis, so that wherever you have all those things, they will be changed in the bill, right?
I'm guided. So,
you'll
Mr.
have said
President,
mutatis mutandis.
Mutatis mutandis.
Okay.
Wherever we have the word educator, it should be institution, should be replaced by...
Educational institution.
Educational institution and any other place.
Now, who wants to second this motion?
And any other place.
Seconder. No, you're taking, what you say is correct. Instead of, restricting to tertiary institution, let's make it educational institution. Right?
Mr. President.
And what? Senator Anthony is talking about tertiary educational institution. So I think there should be an amendment. Who wants to amend? Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. Personally, a bill for an act to prevent, prohibit, redress sexual harassment in our society and for related matters, 2025.
But this bill is restricted to our educational system.
So it happens in our workplaces. It happens domestically.
There are laws that deal with that. There are laws. Even these, there are laws that deal with. I mean, if you even go further, there's no need for this legislation because there are laws anywhere. At the airport, at the car park, and everywhere.
Okay.
But this one is a kind of, I don't know.
Okay, let's now take it as educational institutions.
Okay.
And continue
now, a seconder. And say mutatis mutandis.
Yes, mutatis mutandis.
Okay, seconder.
It has to be like that.
Senator Adams Oshomole. Nay, the ayes have it. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Those in favor that they all should be passed of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the short title on page 10 should stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay.
Mr. Chairman,
of the whole, consider the National Film and Video Regulatory Commission Establishment Bill 2025 and approve as follows. Number of clauses, clause 1 to 74 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 75 as recommended. Short title, clause 76 as recommended. Schedule 1 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Report B. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Number of clauses 1 to 21 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 22 as recommended. Short title, clause 23 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 4 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Report C. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the Federal Centers Act Amendment Bill 2025 and approve as follows. Number of clauses 1 to 2 as recommended. Short title clause 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Long title as recommended. It is a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole. The Senate, C. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the sexual harassment of students, Preventions and Prohibition Bill 2025 and approve as follows. Number of clauses. Clauses 1 to 2 as recommended, as amended. Clauses 3 to 13 as amended, as recommended. Interpretation, clause 14 as recommended. Short titles as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as amended. Long title as amended. This is true reflection. This is a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole. The Leader of the Senate. National Film and Video Censors Board, ADCAP number 40, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and the National Film and Video Regulatory Commission, 2025, for classification of films, video works, short dramatized contents, musical video, video games, and for the regulation of their sales, rentals, distribution, online distribution, exhibition, and for related matters 2025, HB 514, third reading taken and passed. A bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria to regulate the practice, including qualification, training, skill set of digital forensics among its members, and to determine the standards of knowledge and skills to be attained by persons seeking to become registered members of the profession, and for related matters 2025, HB 140, third reading taken and passed. A bill for an act to prevent, prohibit, and redress sexual harassment of students in our educational institutions, and for related matters 2025, HB 1598, third reading taken and passed. A bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Centers Act 2022 and for related matters 2025, HB 1747, third reading taken and passed. The Leader of the Senate. Anyway, I thank on behalf of the Senate all distinguished senators that contributed and work on the passage of these bills because they are bills for concurrence from the House of Reps. We are done our part and we'll continue to reciprocate the chamber, reciprocate, what is always extended to us by the House of Representatives in terms of our legislation or what we do here to enact bills, enact acts for the development of our country. Thank you very much for your contributions. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Senate President, the seventh order of the day.
Committee chaired by Senator Nwoko. You've heard about the comments. What you need to do is to go and recraft, or continue, get all those involved, name by name, location, and so on and so forth. And then you put your report together so that we can submit that to the central government who will pursue those who have cheated Nigeria, and then whatever they took will now be recovered. So you go out there and then do the needful. You've done very well. We are proud of you. So continue. No, the Senate will continue. We'll conclude. He wants to chip in something himself. He may want to chip in something.
What? Leader of the Senate, please approach the chair.
I rise to move the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Joint Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary, and the Agricultural Production, Services and Rural Development Committee in respect of a motion on the urgent need to investigate with an intention to halt the continuous unwholesome practices of chemical ripening of fruits by our fruit sellers in Nigeria. President, my distinguished colleagues, Ipalibo Banigo, representing Rivers West Senatorial District. The Senate of the Federal Republic, at its sitting on the 21st of May, debated a motion titled Urgent Need to Investigate with an intention to halt the continuous unwholesome practices of chemical ripening of fruits among fruit sellers in Nigeria, and referred it to the Joint Committees of Health and Agricultural Services, Production and Rural Development. This motion was sponsored by Senator Annie Antonio Curry and seeks to bring to the fore the worrisome, unwholesome practices. The joint committees went into an investigative hearing on Thursday, the 17th of July, and received a lot of memorandum and a lot of interactions from the general public. The motion received overwhelming support from stakeholders at the investigative hearing. Your Excellency, the Senate President, and my distinguished colleagues, it is on record that the ripening of fruits with the use of chemical causes of the use of chemicals cause a lot of hazardous risks to human health and subsequent health risks and death. This is a public health crisis, and it's not just a consumer rights issue. The practice in itself undermines food safety and threatens lives and must be halted through effective legislation, public education, and regulatory enforcement. In 2025 alone, Nigeria recorded over 14,000 cases of cholera, resulting in about 378 deaths and 119 deaths from food-related Lassa fever infections. According to the World Health Organization, Nigeria suffers over 1 million cases of foodborne illnesses annually, resulting in economic losses exceeding $3.6 billion. It is therefore apt to address this menace and nip it in the bud, especially since existing legislations, such as the Criminal Code Section 243 to 245, criminalizes food, meat, and water adulteration. In our findings, it was obvious that there is a rise in dangerous and fraudulent forced ripenings of fruits with raw calcium carbide. That dangerous and fraudulent food handling practices were taking place, such as cooking meats with paracetamol, preserving grains with sniper, diclovers, chemicals, washing of fruits and vegetables with detergents to enhance their appearance, soaking of cassava in detergent or hypo solution, adding banned Sudan 4 dyes in palm oil and red pepper, and use of burning of tires to remove animal furs from their skins, amongst others. And that morpholine was being used as waxing agent for fruits and vegetables, and this is on the EU's banned list of chemicals. And that these practices are linked to severe public health threats, such as cancer, kidney and liver diseases, and foodborne illnesses, including cholera and Lassa fever. The committee therefore recommends as follows: that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services, and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, as well as the Nigeria Council of Food Science and Technology, should increase the level of awareness by continuous sensitization and massive public enlightenment on the hazardous implications of chemical ripening of fruits. And that the Senate, through its relevant committees, should amend extant laws to prescribe stiffer punishments for persons found guilty of ripening fruits through the application of these harmful chemicals as against natural ripening of fruits in Nigeria. And that the existing regulatory agencies mandated to undertake food safety and controls should ensure enforcement through legal and regulatory means. Your Excellency, Mr. President of the Senate, my distinguished colleagues, the committee greatly appreciates the President of the Senate, the Deputy President of the Senate, and the entire Senate leadership, and all our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity given to us to serve in this capacity. I hereby submit. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Is there any contribution? Yes, distinguished Senator.
I'm Babangida Hussaini, Senator representing Jigawa Northwest. I rise to commend the conciseness of the report and to commend the committee for a very good job. In the same vein, Mr. President, I want to also recommend in paragraph 1, recommendations 50, paragraph 1. In the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investments, there is a department, CPI, Commodities and Produce Inspectorate Department, that is responsible for the management of agricultural produce, especially in relation to issues of phytohygiene. We are all aware of the dangers posed by the storage, especially in the years gone by. Carcinogenous chemicals are applied to store beans and other produce, which end up consumed during the after storage. In the end, they end up getting into the system of the consumers and inflict harms. A lot of resultant deaths have been recorded in this manner. So I suggest, as part of the agencies that have regulatory responsibilities, the Consumer Produce Inspectorate Department of the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investments should be included in the recommendations to support and to encourage them to be more vigilant in managing issues that have to do with the application of chemicals in not only ripening, but storage of produce in warehouses. I so submit, Mr. President.
And food security, Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services, and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and Nigerian Council of Food Science and Technology should increase the level of awareness by continuous sensitization and massive public enlightenment on the hazardous implications of chemical ripening of fruits in Nigeria. Those in support of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This is carried. Recommendation 2, that the Senate, through its relevant committees, should amend extant laws to prescribe stiffer punishments for persons found guilty of ripening fruits through the application of harmful chemicals as against natural ripening of fruits in Nigeria. I think this is where the act that we suspended yesterday comes in. Either amending the relevant criminal acts to insert a provision on this ripening of fruits and make it stiffer so that people will not continue to suffer from chemical poisoning as a result of buying fruits without knowledge of which one has been chemically ripened and which one has been naturally ripened. So I think we should look at that. This is a good recommendation. Those in support of recommendation 2, that the Senate do, through its committees, amend extant laws to prescribe stiffer punishments for persons found guilty of ripening fruits through the application of harmful chemicals as against the natural ripening of fruits in Nigeria. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3. Existing regulatory agencies should be mandated to undertake food safety and controls by ensuring enforcement through legal and regulatory means. That goes without saying. Those in favor of recommendation 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Any additional prayer? Yes, distinguished Senator Ndubeze.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Sunday. But there was no seconder, and you repeated yourself that you said, I heard you, and you know I heard you. Okay, but there was nobody seconding it. And therefore, the amendment or additional prayer falls. Let me thank the chairman, Senator Iparibo Harry Banigo, and the members of this committee for doing a wonderful job. And this clearly takes care of yesterday's intended bill on food ripening. And I want to thank you for also reminding us that we had referred this to your committee and that your committee had done a diligent job on it. We intend to ask our Legislative Compliance Committee to follow up on this. And also will be on the neck of all the agencies involved in food and drug safety in the country to ensure that we do not poison our children and our future leaders and future generation of Nigerians with chemicals as a result of intake of chemically ripened fruits in the countries. I thank my distinguished senators for their concern for Nigerians and concern for themselves and their families. And thank you all for your contributions. Well done, Mrs. Banigo. Leader of the Senate, we should go into closed session. No. But before then, move a motion to suspend all other items on the order paper to tomorrow.
No. Your Excellency. Your Excellency, I think if you look at order paper, there is a residual item.
With the security clearance is very important. So we are yet to get that.
So, Your Excellency, I stand to step down the ninth item.
Sorry, the Zoom Senator Osita Ungo said that the security clearance is on the way, that the Postmaster General is on the way.
No, sir. Mr. President, this is an institution.
No.
It is not something, I have nothing against the young man, the gentleman. I know him. But let's respect this institution. We can't wait for a nominee because he's coming with a security letter. No.
That is not done. This is an institution. We can take it tomorrow.
Senator Ningi, I don't even have any intention of waiting for anybody. Because after clearing them, you don't see them again. So, DSP, I think we should go into our closed session and thereafter we adjourn. So please move a motion to that effect.
A motion that we dissolve into a closed session for important message from Senate President.